Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the first executive SFSS 2016 general election debate. Before anything, we acknowledge that this debate is taking place on the unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, which, to the current knowledge of the Society, includes the Squamish, Musqueam, Stolo, and Tsleil-Waututh. My name is Vanna Loders. I'm the Chief Commissioner for the Independent Electoral Commission of the Student Society. I'm here with Danielle today, dealing with tech stuff, and Devin, somewhere, walking around. Oh, there you are. If anybody has any accessibility needs. I'm really excited about the debate today, and I hope you are all too. But first, I just want to make some things clear. The order of the debate shall go as follows. VP External Relations, VP Finances, VP Student Life, VP Student Services. We're going to have a short break. Referendum questions, VP University Relations, and President. We will begin each position with reading aloud the statements of candidates who are not able to be present for the debate. In future, if any of you will not be able to attend a debate, we will read aloud a statement submitted to us at least 24 hours in advance. Each candidate will get a 30-second intro statement and a 30-second closing statement. After the intro statements, each candidate will get the chance to either pose a question to one candidate or to all candidates, in which they get 1 minute to reply, and the question asker gets a 1-minute rebuttal. After all candidates have asked a question, we will move on to audience question. Each position will have a maximum time of 20 minutes, with the exception of President, which will have 30 minutes. And we will fit in as many audience questions as possible within that time frame. If you have a question, please line up in front of the microphone here. I will put my hand up and count down from 5 during the last 5 seconds of any time allotment, at the end of which you will be cut off. Please keep in mind the IEC retains the right to refuse any questions from both the audience or candidates if they are inappropriate, defamatory, discriminatory, or attack a candidate directly in any way. If the IEC deems a question inappropriate, the audience member or candidate will get one more chance to ask another question. Please remain respectful and there will be no problems. Should you be disrespectful to any IEC members or other candidates during the debate, you will simply be asked to leave. If you have any accessibility concerns or needs, Devin is here for your assistance. He will be walking around, so please flag him down in any way you can if you are needing assistance with anything. Lastly, all candidates must sign a release form provided by the IEC for consent to release video, audio, and photography. This is because CJSF and the Peak are covering the event and we are providing live streaming and recording. Please be informed that if you want to ask a question, you may be recorded. We are considering your consent unless otherwise noted. If this is a concern, you may flag down Devin and he can ask the question on your behalf. For candidates, no question can be insulting to another candidate. Questions should focus on electoral issues and never personally attack another. Positivity in the language use is essential. Make sure the conduct is professional and respectful. And for students, please ask the most important questions first, as priority will be given to students who have not previously asked a question to the candidate as the debate proceeds. Questions which have already been asked will not be allowed to be repeated to a candidate. If you are unsatisfied with the answer a candidate gave to you, you are not allowed to ask the same question again to elicit a different answer. And with that, we'll start with VP External Relations. And we'll go left to right again, so you can start with your opening statement. You have 30 seconds.
Good afternoon. My name is Archit Bansal. My focus would be on continuing our efforts towards the BC Open Textbook Program, strengthening the efforts of SUDS, and lobbying the provincial and federal governments regarding student fees, grants, and loans if elected into the position of VP External Relations. I would also like to increase our engagement and develop a cross-platform communication model with other student unions throughout BC. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I just want to thank the IEC for acknowledging that these debates today are taking place on unceded Coast Salish territories. Thank you for that acknowledgement. Hi everyone, my name is Christine Dyson and I am the current Faculty of Environment representative on the SFSS Board of Directors. And I am looking to continue my involvement this next year and serve as your next Vice President, External Relations. Over the past year, I've had the chance to learn more about the Society and identify areas for improvement. I have a clear vision for the VP External Relations portfolio, and I am prepared to support it.
Thank you. Okay, and you can pose a question.
Ms. Dyson, your involvement with the board last year shows 3 absences and 1 no report presented during the Board of Directors meetings. Out of a total of 13, you were unable to produce work on 4 occasions, resulting in an unproductive activity of 32.5%, higher than other board members the previous years. Why should the students trust you with the position when you have a record of being unreliable? Thank you.
All right. First of all, I don't take that statement as being unreliable to any extent. Yes, there was a board report that wasn't submitted, but that was just due to some unclarity surrounding what the new procedure was for submitting the board reports, and yeah, so I take full responsibility for that. In terms of reliability and what I can bring to the Board of Directors, I would have to say that so far the amount of work and the work that I have shown with the Faculty of Environment specifically and advocating for environmental efforts to be brought into the SFSS can be commendable. I did help assist the establishment of a new DSU this year for the Faculty of Environment. I was a co-lead on the first ever Faculty of Environment Frosh, which had never been done before and had excellent attendance. And I also helped co-develop an initiative and a campaign that was focused on zero waste for the Simon Fraser Student Society.
Thank you. And 1 minute rebuttal if you choose.
No, thank you.
Okay, and you can go ahead and ask a question.
Okay. So you mentioned lobbying the provincial government, so I was just wondering what your plan for that is. Not necessarily what you're going to be lobbying for, but how do you plan to do that?
I plan on taking a survey down as a few and making sure that we have enough signatures throughout students that we can actually show that students cannot afford the continuous increase in fees. Also, accessibility problems with grants and loans in the sense that students have to work a lot and there's a lot of red tapeism to get grants and loans, so I want to reduce that. I also want to make sure that international students also are, they lobby for law because local students have a 2% cap of increasing student fees and international students are not protected under the same law. Thank you.
1 minute rebuttal if you choose.
Those all sound like good points, but considering you are running for the role of VP External Relations, I would assume one of the key aspects you'd want to include in that provincial lobbying campaign would be working alongside other student societies. Considering 2017 will be the provincial elections, this year is more important than ever for student societies to be coming together to create clear and concise messaging to deliver towards the provincial government en masse.
Thank you. Okay, and was there audience questions? Go ahead.
Hi, Christine and Archit. My question is towards Archit. You mentioned about the open textbook program. So my question to you is, what do you really know about it, and what have you done in the past? Have you been involved with it, or yeah? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Chipra. I definitely know about the BC Open Textbook Program. I've been researching their minutes from last February's annual meeting they have. I've also seen the efforts of the SFSS this fall for the program, so I definitely know what's going on. And I wish to continue that program because we have a history of not continuing programs as soon as board members change, and I believe that this is a very important platform which we must continue. Thank you.
Yeah, please just come here. I have a question from someone in the audience for Archit. How do you plan on acting as a liaison to other student unions?
We need to focus on our FSUs, DSUs, and CGs to collaborate with similar bodies of other student unions across BC. Thus, SFSS acts as a mediator which would increase cross-collaboration on events, workshops, etc., improving the university experience of students across universities and setting an example of engagement unprecedented before. Also, I would like to work on establishing a cross-platform communication model with these unions across BC. Thank you.
Hello. So as the current Vice President of External Relations, I am wondering if you can go into more... go into more detail about so I guess this question is going to be more for Archit first, though, because I have a number of questions that I'd like to ask. But in terms of, you say you want to strengthen efforts with Students United for Disability Support. What do you think the biggest challenges are that students with disabilities face on campus? Why is it that you want to focus on this in your platform? And what has your involvement been with Students United for Disability Support as an active member of SUDS? And I think as an active member in their activities, I think that'd be really good for you to answer.
Thank you for the question, Kathleen. So initially, SUDS was born out of the advocacy committee because of it being an important subject needing specific attention. Unfortunately, those efforts haven't been fruitful, and thus I think SUDS should be considered for transformation into a contingency group, because over the past 2 or 3 weeks, SUDS has actually dismantled into 2 organizations, and the students no longer feel comfortable continuing their efforts towards advocacy. Thank you.
Hi there. Although themes of lobbying have been covered already, I think I'll just ask a similar question. Is that okay? Okay, so there are formal and informal ways of placing pressures on government and individual MLAs. What forms will your lobbying take, knowing the questionable success of traditional forms of lobbying have had since the end of the tuition freeze in 2001 and 2002, and additionally the lack of solidarity amongst various student societies across British Columbia?
To both candidates, sorry, but you can begin.
It's a great question, by the way. I think, first of all, we need to establish way better communication with other student unions, because throughout BC right now we have a problem that student unions have a few activities limiting to 3 or 4 a year, but they don't really collaborate on lobbying efforts together. So number 1 would be that. And number 2 would be the tuition fees problem is actually a problem which, if you market well in terms of that you let the students know that we can actually work against this, they will come forward. Right now the problem is that we cannot reach our entire student body because our efforts lack engagement, and I would like to improve that. Thank you.
Christine?
Okay. So first off, I think just a general data collection and survey needs to be done. my intention would be I would like to work with other student societies, so I would like to help develop that amongst other student societies so that we're all delivering the same survey and collecting the same data results. Once the student societies did have that information available, then I think it would be appropriate at that point in time to decide how they're going to move forward with that. Whether or not it's attending lobby days, again, come next year, but having a clear and concise plan that all student societies are delivering on, or whether it's just approaching in other manners, informal manners, for getting it through. Thank you.
Thank you. My question is to Ms. Dyson. Your slate's mandate and your mandate, you have stressed on the word continuity. So the usage of the word continuity gives an impression that people who are already in the board have a special claim to be re-elected in the board. So my question to you is, why continuity? Why not change? Why not give a chance to other people as well, a fair chance?
All right. First of all, thank you for the definition of continuity. I was aware of what the word was of before, but appreciate that. Secondly, in terms of why not talk about change, the word continuity, right now, the only people that are running for vice president and president positions are all people that have been on the board. There has been ample opportunity given to those wishing to run for faculty representatives and at-large members. So I think it is reliable for us to take that mandate, because you do want to have those who are going to be sitting on your executive committee to have a better understanding of the society. And then it does create also the opportunity for a transition as faculty members and at-large members can develop an interest, learn more about the society, and then hopefully next year run for those larger positions. Thank you.
Can I ask to both people? Hi. Hello. Hi. My name's Smeet. So I'm an undecided voter at this point, and the only thing I want to know is why you are here.
Thank you for the question, Samir. So I am here because I've been involved with the student community at the very essence of its existence. I came here about 2.5 years ago, and I started from volunteering like everyone else. And I've had enough experiences and met so many new people that I want to go forward and advocate on their behalf. It's more about people are afraid to come in front of the SFSS and make their points. And there is a lot of reasons for that, but I want to make sure that I can go in and get a volunteer and make them smile and make them happy and ask them what they want. That's all I want. Thank you.
For myself, over my time, through my time here at SFU and throughout this past year as a board of directors member, I have seen the value in what it means to empower certain individuals. So one of those big ones for me would be seeing individuals come to me and say, we want to form a DSU. That is, for me, a huge thing. And that individual, she did come to me, and that was because I had previously been very involved with the Geography Student Union as chair, and had invited her on a trip to come with us. And after that, she left feeling so inspired, and that's when she went on to create this DSU. I think by reaching out and advocating for students and informing them of what is possible to them, what they can do, that's really important to me, and that's why I want to help the society grow and get more students involved. I mean, there's not a huge turnout at the debates today, there weren't yesterday. I think we need to get more student involvement. Thank you.
Hey Christine, I got a question for you. Yeah. Your event page talks about cost savings for students. So my question is, in your 1-year tenure on the advocacy committee, what have you done to curb student fees for international students? Thank you.
To be frank, the advocacy committee hasn't done anything in that regard in terms of cost savings for international students specifically. In my platform, I did outline commit to cost savings for students. So moving forward, one of the biggest things I would have for that would be committing to seeking external sponsorship for the Build SFU project. If you look back at previous VP external platforms, that has always been mentioned. However, it has never been possible because the building hasn't been under construction. Now that the building is set to move forward, it's now time for us to start doing that work and seeing how we can bring down those fees.
Thank you.
So my question is to both of you. As a VP External, one could say that your main thing should be about advocacy, since you are the chair of the advocacy committee. In your opinion, what is the single most important issue for students that you would advocate for? Just one.
Thank you for the question, Jazz. The single most important focus for me is the BC Open Textbook Program. Why? It's very simple. Every semester, we have around 24,000 students. Around 40 to 50% of them use the bookshop. If all of them, each and every one of them, can save $200 to $300 each semester, that we are talking about millions and millions of dollars of savings. And that's the only thing I want for students. I want to help them get through their university experience with the help of the SFSS, with giving them free textbooks. Thank you.
For myself, based on the survey results that were conducted by the Student Society this past fall, I would say the biggest concern at this point in time in terms of advocating for students is letting them know that they can advocate and what advocacy is. The results show that most students don't actually know what advocacy is, so I think we need to raise a general awareness around that first off in order to get a true sense of what it is students want us advocating the most for. At this point in time, I would say the Open Textbook Program, as you mentioned, that's a great way, but the real point of that is it relates to cost savings, and that is the biggest thing I would say for students at this point in time, cost savings.
Ara is going to have the last questions. Keep within the time frame.
Hi. My question is for Archit. You say you want to be involved with the Open Textbook campaign. Christine is already involved, so my question for you is, what do you want to do to get involved? What do you want to do with the campaign moving forward? If I'm elected Vice President of University Relations, we'd be working together on that. That is why I'm interested.
Thank you for the question, Nar. I hope you do get elected, by the way. So basically what I want to do is, we already have a survey in place on the SFSS website as of right now for the BEC Open Textbook Program. How many people do actually go in there and actually use that survey? Not many. We have a student body of 24,001 students, and we need to make sure that all of those students are actually aware of the fact that we are running this campaign as of right now. Not a lot of students know about this. We need to first increase awareness, gather student involvement by asking them to volunteer some of their time into this program, and then I can definitely see this program succeeding in the long term. Thank you.
Thank you. Was that a question just to you? Okay. You can start with your 30-second closing statement whenever you're ready.
I want to be your VP External Relations, not because I've already served on the board, or not because I should know exactly how to serve the lobby. I want to be the VP External because I have the experience and a clear-cut vision on 3 to 4 points which I want to focus on throughout my tenure if elected. I really hope that my points got across to you and you seem they're fitting for the position. Thank you.
For my closing statement, I would just like to take this opportunity to remind everyone that these elections are not only for selecting the new board of directors, but also for voting on important referendum questions. I would like to remind everyone the importance of voting in the elections, as some referendum questions could be in jeopardy if there is low voter turnout. With that being said, to those of you in attendance today, I encourage you to tell your friends to vote for the candidates, vote for the referendum questions, and remember to vote Dyson and vote connected.
Thank you. Okay, and next we'll have VP Finances. Or was that one not good?
Thank you.
Okay, and you can begin with a 30-second opening statement whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Ibrahim Hafiz, and I'm running to be your next. I'm running to be your next VP Finance. Before I begin, I just want to thank you to the IEC for hosting this event, and I want to thank you for running a very healthy and competitive campaign. Why I'm running to be your VP Finance? Just for the very reason we have 21 students running for 16 positions. The very reason we have a voter turnout of probably 50 students when we have 30,000 students running for SFSS. I want to invest back into the SFSS.
Thank you.
To the students, sorry.
Hello everyone, my name is Hang Yu Kim. I'm your current business faculty representative, rerunning in the elections to return to the board of directors as your next vice president of finance. I just want to thank the audience for being here today. It really means a lot to not only the candidates, but to the student society as a whole. I also want to congratulate Ibrahim. We've been running a respectable campaign with each other, and we are friends from before, so I hope it continues. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and you can start with a question.
As Hang you mentioned, we are pretty good friends, and we've worked together in the last year as well on FASC and EPCOM. A question I want to ask him regarding his tenure last year is that Hang you last year on your platform when you were running, you wrote that you would establish bursaries for part-time students. How successful were you with that?
Yeah. So in the case of that, through the approval of the Build SFU project, we actually increased the bursary contribution to the students through the Build SFU bursary contribution. I was also planning on sitting on the Senate committee. Unfortunately, the 2 positions went to 2 other students, but yeah, in terms of the bursary, that's what happened with the Build SFU.
Thank you.
And a 1-minute rebuttal if you choose.
I'm good, thank you.
No? Okay, and your question?
Yeah, so this has to do with kind of the FBS. So the FBS is running a big deficit, and in your role as finance, do you think that this is a problem with the lack of revenue or expenditures of the society?
Last year, when you were running, you mentioned that you'd help with the budget for FBS, and I'm aware you've been successful in that. I feel that with the FPS, how you need to go about that is it's basically the food bank for the students. If the students are benefiting from the society, because the students do end up putting money in the society, even if you're losing. We all should know that SFSS is a non-profit organization, even if you're losing money, but the students are gaining out of the FPSS. We should go ahead with contributing to the FPS. But we need to look into where exactly we're losing money to be efficient with the cost. Yeah.
Thank you. You're okay? Okay, and audience questions? No? You do?
Hello guys, good job so far. My question is regarding with your understanding of the way the SFSS manages money. I asked this question yesterday as well of business candidates, and I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you think of the way the SFSS manages money, and how do you think it can do better? Thank you.
Well, if you've read my platform, to be upfront, I believe the system's broken. Students are not getting their money back in time. The budget is created by the board before the new board is elected, and that's not the way to go because you lose a lot of opportunity through that. That is why if you guys have read my platform, I would like to create a budget called the opportunity budget, where students, where the board would actually, when elected, sit down, set aside the fixed cost, and then go about the budget from there. See what the students want, have surveys, ask what the students' needs are, and then set a budget accordingly, because that is what makes sense. That is how the SFSS will be efficient.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Darwin. In terms of the financing for the Student Society, so each year we collect a levy on behalf of the students. It's around $40 a semester. It contributes to around $5 million for an operating budget. Those costs go through administrative costs, the board of director costs, and services costs. There's a lot of separate departments within the society, and it's important that right now each department is siloed in their own departments. Certain departments are spending lots of money. Some departments aren't using a penny of it. So one of my platform points is to consolidate a lot of the separate departments and look for opportunities to efficiently use the student dollars that we're receiving. And that's my platform. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for Kim. Last year, you promised to increase funding for business clubs and yearly maintenance costs. How do you weigh in your success, which is not evident on any front in the past years, as being a business rep?
Yeah. Yeah. So last year, I worked a lot with the business clubs and student organizations across campuses. Led to a lot of firsts, a lot of new initiatives working with them. In terms of increasing the amount of money allocated to the business faculty, it has to go through a process. So it goes through granting, it goes through maybe events and promotions. So in terms of that, obviously, if I'm sitting on those committees, I would have to abstain from voting just because I have some type of relationship with them. But in terms of events, a lot of the business clubs and student organizations have been throwing amazing events, and the society has been supporting them from KSIT, from the International Women's Day coming up. A lot of the events are being funded by the Student Society, so we are providing them with that support compared to last year.
Thank you. Was there other questions from the audience? Sure.
This one is from Mr. Kim. In Ibrahim's previous answer to Darwin's question, you said he said that the budgeting system wasn't working properly. We, as the Peak, asked you guys to submit some questions. We asked you what your #1 priority was for budgeting, and you said check requisitions. And so I'm just wondering why, if one candidate thinks that the system isn't working, why check requisitions should be our #1 priority for the budget for next year.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. So the check requisition process is kind of our go-to transaction between the students as well as with the society. It's used for auditing purposes. It's used to get money back to the students. I think it is really important just because there has been a lot of complaints from the student body saying that it's inefficient, it takes too long for students to be reimbursed and have to wait these prolonged periods of times to get reimbursed for their funds. So I think in terms of that, the check requisition process, it's used not only by the students but by the board of directors as well. So if we're able to improve that process, it kind of does like a domino effect where it can improve the other services that we provide to students.
Thank you. And was there any other questions from the audience? Enoch? Sure.
Hello, candidates. As VP Finance, you have a lot of responsibilities. You help oversee the budget, you work with creating the budget, and you oversee day-to-day operations and cash flows. My question to you is that, knowing this, there is a lot of responsibilities and risks involved. What is your experience in managing risk, and how are you going to use that to help inform the board for future decisions?
So someone actually asked me regarding my experience on my Facebook event page. I have dealt with budgets which have been larger than the SFSS budget. I had a $12 million budget working with 16 other students, 16 other business analysts who were internees, where we had to lease 3 airplanes for a company called AirBlue. There was a large risk because we had different options. How I did it and how my team did it was analyzing different statistics, being a team. What I bring towards SFSS, if elected, is a different perspective. How to manage a budget in a clear, transparent, concise way, where both the board would get to see a bigger picture of the budget through the opportunity budget, and the students could get to see and understand the budget in an easy manner.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Enoch. In terms of the management of risk and making these decisions, I think a big component to that is working alongside our staff as well as our management team. These individuals have this wealth of experience. They've worked in the industries that we provide services for, and I think just developing a risk management plan with our current executive director, our current general managers, our FBS managers, and our other staff is where we can develop these like risk mitigation measures for our society and for our services and events.
Thank you. Okay, and any other audience questions? No? Okay, and you can start your 30-second closing statement.
Democracy was built through open societies with the share of information. When there's information, there's enlightenment. When there's debate, there's when there's debate, there are solutions. I hope Hangyu and I both, through this debate, brought a lot of information to the students where they got to know more of the society and their finances and some possible solutions to these problems. Thank you. Please vote for me for the next VP Finance.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you once again for everyone coming here today. It's really important that people do vote and make this informed decision. And I know Christine harped on it, but it is important through the referendum questions coming up. And I hope that everyone does their research and makes an informed vote. And I hope you guys vote connected as well as vote for our team. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and next we'll start with VP Student Life. Where do you want to go?
Which mic?
Yeah. Oh, actually, that one's kind of quiet.
Oh yeah, let's do this one.
And just a reminder to any candidates that have come up already, you need to grab a release form, and you can just leave your completed ones on the desk when you're done. Okay, and you can start your 30-second opening statement whenever you're ready.
Okay, the first thing I'd like to do is thank everyone for showing up today. It's really important that you make an informed decision. Hi, I'm Curtis Puke. I'm the Curtin at-large rep on the board, and I'm running for VP Student Life. I represent the team Connected. Over the last 3 years at SFU, I've strived to build a better community on campus. Many people view SFU as a commuter school. I've been trying to break this down since the day I got involved. I plan to engage students by diversifying events and being inclusive to all our members. Thank you.
Thank you. The IEC has prepared a question since you're running by yourself. How do you plan to engage effectively with DSUs and FSUs which are outside of your own faculty?
That's a great question. Thank you. One of my platform points is actually engaging the Surrey and Vancouver campuses better. There are tons of DSUs and FSUs in sense on these campuses. I think with the work of our faculty representatives and a push for more engagement on those campuses, I think we can definitely engage other DSUs and FSUs better.
Thank you. Okay, and audience questions?
Hi there. I just have a quick question. I know that the word engage has been used fast and loose in every student union election since time immemorial. So what does engagement look to you specifically? Because I know oftentimes people talk about engagement, but they just end up tabling, or they just they run a pub night or something along the lines of that. But that's not necessarily engagement. It could be just entertainment, essentially. So what specific strategies do you plan to follow that will actually substantively engage students in ways that will empower them? Okay, this is a really long question, but empower them to stand up for their rights, stand up for the rights of others, etc.
Thank you very much. That's an excellent question. The fact that I'm up here alone without an opponent speaks to the work we have to do with engagement. Engagement is something I've been working on. I think what it is, it's a multiple amount of things. One of which is definitely we just created a new strategic engagement committee, and that committee is going to be used to create new strategies for engagement. Engagement is about face-to-face outreach, and one of the things we want to do is instead of doing office hours, we sit in an office and we make people come to us. We're going to have out-of-office hours where we're walking around the community and talking to people, getting them to know what the SFSS is, because I really think that's a huge problem in our society right now.
Thank you. And other audience questions? Sure.
Hello. In your platform, you mentioned you support Greek life. Given the problems with Greek life on campus in the past, how would you ensure fraternities and sororities, if they were to be established, would be fair and inclusive to all students?
Thank you for the question. I have been a strong advocate for Greek life on campus because I feel they are basically a group that is highly engaged. They come out to all our events, and they hold tons of events on campus, some of which are open to everyone. And I think it's important to note that they are a huge portion of our, I mean, not a huge portion, but they're a huge portion of engaged students in our population. And I think for that reason that they should be supported.
Thank you. Other audience questions?
I'm just very curious about some wording that you used earlier when you were talking about breaking down the commuter campus. I'm not sure how, what that means exactly. I understand that there's engagement in getting students out to involve things, but this is because of our geographical location and having 3 campuses, this will always be a commuter campus. What does it mean to be breaking that down?
I do concede it is true that we have a geographical location that induces a commuter campus, but when I say commuter campus, what I mean is people just coming to school for school and then going home. And I think commuter in the sense that there is not as much of a community that is perceived up here because people just come to school and go home. Breaking that down looks like making people want to stay here, making people want to get involved in events after classes, and that spilling over into their life and making them a more involved and engaged student.
Thank you. And any other audience questions?
What do you think are the duties and responsibilities of VP Student Life?
Thanks for the question. I was expecting that one. So we're at a crossroads right now. The current, I'm not going to read off the roles and responsibilities of VP Student Life from our documents because I don't think it's accurate anymore. We're going to be going through, we're already going through a bunch of governance reforms, one of which is actually going to be looking at restructuring this role in particular. I think that more emphasis has to be put on outreach, going out and being the main contact for students, to hear their concerns, to be able to articulate them, and to bring them to the board table.
Thank you. And any other audience questions? No? Okay.
Yeah, we got one more. Sorry.
Okay, sure.
This one comes from it's at the Peak Twitter, so this is from a student. Burnaby gets a week of appreciation, but Surrey and Vancouver, quote, quote, get squat. What does the candidate think about that?
The Week of Appreciation this year was a pilot project. It's something we just got off the ground. There wasn't a lot of documents to support it, or any. It wasn't actually done before. So we ran it as a pilot at Burnaby, but as stated in my platform, I want to have more events on Vancouver and in Surrey campus. And some of those events, and we're even thinking of possibly streamlining an appreciation week to both those campuses. It's unfortunate that it wasn't done this year, but I'm committed to look at doing that next year.
Thank you.
Hello. So other than throwing events and focusing on that, there's other aspects to student life. What are some of the aspects that you think are important or issues that you want to pursue in your role?
Thanks for the question, Enoch. I think student life does run the events and promotions committee, but that is not the only task of VP Student Life. As I stated earlier, it's also about outreach, going out there and seeing what students need, getting students to interact with our branding, with the society more. And I feel like the life, as all 16 board of directors, has a responsibility to the board and the board decisions that are made, one of which is governance reform that we've been working on this year. That's also on my platform because that is extremely important to me.
Thank you. Okay. Any other audience questions? Sure.
Hi there. So part of being student life, or part of student life here at SFU, is studying and doing, we spend a lot of time doing homework. So besides you not wanting it to be a commuter campus and people not just coming here to study and then going home, do you have any initiatives to help those that do want to come here and study and devote themselves to their academics? Because it is a huge part of what they do as students. Thanks.
Thanks for the question. I do entirely agree with that statement. Academics are number one. That's why students come to school. They come to school to get a degree, and maybe even two. But the fact is that what I want to just create more support. I want to create more opportunities. If students don't want to take them, that's entirely up to them. But I want those opportunities to be there for students to get involved if they wish to.
Thank you. Any other audience questions? No? Okay, and you can move on to a 30-second closing statement whenever you're ready.
I believe I have the experience and mindset to represent students as the next VP Student Life. I would like to make a call out to our referendum questions, one of which is a UPass. It's actually more important than my personal campaign. The UPass is something that all students use, and I would encourage everyone to vote yes for that referendum question. I'd like to leave with this. I want to create a campus where people struggle with the idea of going home for the day rather than coming to school at all. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll move on to VP Student Services.
Anywhere?
This one's good. This might be louder.
It's really loud. A lot smaller than everyone else.
I know. And you can begin your 30-second opening statement whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Larissa Chen, and I'm running for the position of VP Student Services for 2016 and 17. I'm currently the health science rep on the SFSS, and I've learned a great deal about effective communications, project management, governance, student engagement, and advocating for diverse student needs through my involvement in Fall Kickoff, Appreciation Week, International Festival, and Build SFU. So I aim to use my experience and optimize it to serve students and strengthen student services so that there's something that students want, know, and need. Thank you.
You want to put your mic a little bit closer? There you go. And the IEC has prepared a question for you. What is the biggest opportunity you see for expansion of services to campuses beyond Burnaby, and how do you plan to engage students on these campuses to make services as accessible as possible to them?
Thank you for your question. I think that to provide services on all campuses is very important, especially to address accessibility. I think that by providing a lot of services that can be conducted online is a way to kind of engage with students. But based on our survey results, some students actually really preferred in-person services just because it allows you to interact with the person, get more information, have a conversation, and really dig deep to why you really need that service. And I think one of the main reasons for why we provide these services is because we want them to be valuable to students. We want students to feel supported, that there's already enough hardships in your everyday life, and we don't really want to have any additional barriers to prevent that. So I think that by consulting with students, seeing what works for them on their respective campuses, and also providing both online and in-person services would be really important for all campuses. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And audience questions?
Hello, Larissa, my soon-to-be replacement. You've done really well so far.
You're too loud.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so loud. Forgive me. My question for you, if you had to pick the most important service, I know everybody likes to say all of them are important and it's equal and it's all that stuff, but if you had to pick the one thing, if everything went down and we could only provide one service, which would you pick?
Ooh, this is a good question. I kind of want to answer in my own respective way. I believe that the UPass is one of the most important services. It is the most used service based on our survey, and obviously it's very important because, especially for the upcoming referendum, if not enough students vote, we will lose the UPass, and that will affect not just Burnaby students, not just Surrey students, not just Vancouver students, but all students. I would also, so it's very, very important. I would also like to do a special shout out to the Copy Center as well. The Copy Center is one of the most underutilized services, I think. It's a subsidized service, and it has the cheapest printing costs, and it's not a business. It doesn't seek to make money, and I think that the best thing about the people who work in the Copy Center is that they will make sure that you will end up with the end result that you seek. So many publishing students that I've known take classes in Vancouver, and they make the round trip, the extra effort to come up to here just so that they can get Copy Center printing here. Wow, I got really excited.
And other audience questions?
Hello. Given that food and beverage services has been running a deficit for quite some time, how would you resolve this issue, and would you consider scaling back food and beverage services or changing in any way the way it's managed?
Thank you for your question. So for food and beverages, the responsibilities that is part of that service, a lot of it is operational. However, my role would be to be a governance role and be the role that the point person who interacts with students, interacts with board, interacts with our chief executive officer, and relays all this information to board where they can make the decision. I myself cannot make the decision, so I would work very hard to support the general manager of food and beverage services, and work towards supporting him in his operational role to reduce the deficit, and also consult with students to say, what do you want to see from the pub? What do you want to see from the ladle? How do you think that we can improve? So rather than deciding, oh, this is what I think we should do, it's kind of like, what do students think we should do, and how can we make sure that students feel like this service is valuable and very, very important?
Thank you.
Hey,
So in your answers to the PEAKS questions, as a priority, you identified you wanted to focus on student well-being and engagement to enhance the undergraduate experience with specifically, you mentioned one of your first things was peer and mental well-being support. If I were to vote yes on you next year as someone who has questionable mental health well-being at times and don't find the services at SFU to be that inclusive right now, what are some tangible differences I might notice in the mental health support for students from right now as opposed to at the end of your hypothetical term next year?
Thank you for your question. This issue is actually very personal to me. So from my understanding, most students, when they face mental health issues or whenever they have periods of depression or anxiety, they go to SFU Health and Counseling, yes? So the problem is that right now that department is understaffed. And SFU has been growing in the student population. However, the number of staff and psychologists have remained the same. I think that because we can advocate to SFU, and I will, to prioritize mental well-being, because I think that mental well-being is the foundation of which your academics, your life, your relationships, your all these other aspects, your work, they can all be affected on your mental well-being and how yourself you feel. And then so I think that in terms of advocating to SFU, that is one of my main priorities. However, we can also do a preventative method where we can supply support from your peers, where you can get the training so that you can feel supported without having to go to these understaffed resources.
Thank you. Okay, and other audience questions? Sure.
Hello.
Hi.
Just want to say you're doing a great job so far. Just wanted to ask you one question. So currently, the VP Student Services takes over for the president if the president is unable to continue his duties due to illness or abandonment of office, or etc. Do you feel that you're able to take over for the president if they're not there?
Thank you for your question. I understand that being the president is a very, very important role. Being a president requires you to have consideration of other people's mindset, respect where they're coming from, and despite the fact that you may not agree with what they say or what they think, you still have to consider that. You don't have to take what they say at face value, but you do have to realize that they have their perspective and it's important. You have to value every single perspective and opinion, regardless of how loud or how, what's the opposite of loud? Quiet, thank you. How quiet it may be, wow. Yes, great. And I think that you also have to be stern. If you believe in something and if people have said that they are unhappy with something, and even if it's something that you have prioritized for yourself, you need to set aside your personal life from your work life, and you need to be able to prioritize the students and the dominant opinion, consensus.
Thank you. Okay. Any other audience questions? No? Okay. Yep.
What do you feel are the duties and responsibilities of VPs? I know.
Why do I feel like I already knew that was coming, Lisa?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I don't even have to finish it.
So in terms of what it states in our Constitution and bylaw, it states that the responsibility is to take over for the president, as Enoch mentioned earlier, and to coordinate the compilation of the annual report for the AGM, which happens every year, and to coordinate facilities and services for students. However, we've recognized that a lot of these responsibilities are operational, and that is not the responsibility of the board. It is unreasonable to ask a university student to sign contracts for health that are worth millions, because that is something that you consult with your chief executive officer with, which is what I seek to do if elected. So in terms of things outside of that role, I aim to strengthen communications. I want students to know what our services are. I want students to be proud of our services. I want them to feel supported, and that they don't have to go through all these various channels to find out a simple answer for what they're seeking, which is support and care, which is what I want students to feel.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay. And any other questions? Okay. You can start your 30-second closing statement whenever you're ready.
So thank you so much for coming today and asking your questions. I really hope I answered them well. If you want to ask me some more questions later, I'll be around. I hope you guys do take a chance to look at my platform and offer me constructive criticism and support if you believe in my goals. Student empowerment is my priority because students should feel valued and supported. In our everyday lives, we already undergo enough hardships and challenges so that we need to, at the SFSS, should try and mitigate those through their services. Hashtag Larry for services, hashtag vote connected. Yeah, yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to start with the schools building schools referendum question.
Great. Guys, this is a debate. Hello everyone, my name is Kathleen Yang and I'm the current Vice President of External Relations and I'm here to talk about the Schools Building Schools referendum. The issues with Schools Building Schools were first raised at a September advocacy meeting, and after much dialogue at the committee table and with Schools Building Schools, both organizations have come to a mutual decision to cease the collection of all levies for Schools Building Schools. So this amounts to about $16,000 annually, and it is taken from $1 from every full-time and 50 cents from every part-time student. Because this is a mutual separation, I would ask that you all vote yes.
Thank you. And the IUC has another question for you. What would happen to students' money being allocated to schools building schools should the referendum fail, either for people voting no or not having enough people voting?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Where would the money go from the students that are being paid out of the student fees if the referendum failed and we kept paying it?
If the referendum failed, then we would still continue to collect the levy, and Schools Building Schools would continue to use that money towards their programs in Uganda. It's not so much that they don't want funding, I don't believe. I think they're just going with a different direction, but I believe that they'll still utilize our funding in the way in which it was intended to.
Okay.
Is that all? Any other questions?
No? Sure.
I just have two questions. So the first one is, the SFSS board is in favor of revoking the levy, yes or no?
Yes. The board is in favor.
And Schools Building Schools as an organization is in favor of revoking the levy, yes or no?
Yes. Schools Building Schools is in favor of revoking the levy.
Thank you for clarifying.
Is there any other questions? Okay, and you can begin a 30-second closing statement whenever you're ready.
Okay, as I said, this is a mutual party. I would encourage everyone to vote in this year's elections. Vote yes to the Schools Building Schools referendum. And I think the one thing that I really hope that future candidates talk about is, where are the women this election? There's only approximately, I think, 6 candidates running in this election, and I think that's a huge problem that we face systemically here as a society and as a society overall. I just came from a Women in Business luncheon, and it was fantastic. Who knew Christy Clark also faces discrimination in the workplace? Thank you. Kathleen.
Thank you. Okay, and we'll have Darwin come forward for a UPass BC question.
Well, I know where my vote's going.
Why should we do the thing?
Okay. And you can start with a 30-second intro whenever you're ready.
Hello everyone, my name is Darwin. I'm here on behalf of your SFSS Board of Directors to discuss the UPass question on this year's referendum ballot.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And can you clarify the savings students get by voting yes to your question?
By voting yes to this question, students will continue to save hundreds of dollars every semester. If you are a 3-zone student, you will save, at the end of this 2-year extension, you will save $129 per term, and it goes down accordingly based on the prices depending on the zones you purchase. If you do not vote in favor of this question, you will have to find your own means of securing your transit pass, and you will no longer have those hundreds of dollars in savings.
Thank you. And was there audience questions? No?
What do you suggest our lovely candidates should do to support this referendum?
Excellent question. For the candidates who are interested in supporting this referendum question, you can share everything on social media. We have Facebook pages and so on. The Peak has recently published an article which addresses the ways in which we may lose this UPass as well. You can share that. And the same message as I gave candidates at the end of yesterday's debate, if you show students that you care about what they care about, that will give them a reason to care about you as a candidate. And so, like Brady's suggesting, I encourage all of you to get behind this openly, to actually do something instead of say something. And I appreciate that.
Thank you. And any other questions? Okay, and a 30-second closing statement when you're ready.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. After every candidate spoke regarding the UPass and telling students to vote for it, I don't mean to repeat everything that's been said. However, I do appreciate everyone's support up until now. There's a lot of money on the table in regards to this. It is the most used service the SFSS provides. Whenever we tell people what the SFSS is, providing the UPass is usually the first thing we use to describe what we do. And so I would highly encourage all of you to vote yes to this question for all of those reasons and more. Thank you.
Okay, and we'll go on to VP University Relations. Okay, and you can start with a 30-second opening statement whenever you're ready.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is R. I'm a fourth-year political science major and the current arts representative on the Student Society. I'm looking to continue my involvement with the Student Society as your next Vice President of University Relations. I'm running on a platform that speaks to making changes that will benefit students and allow us to serve them better, as well as academic advocacy, something that the Student Society has failed to do so in the past, and I wish to make sure the Student Society can do this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And how will you improve on the relations between the society and the university? Are there any particular areas of interest you want to address in this capacity?
Do I have a minute, or how long do I have?
Yeah, you have 1 minute.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I feel like the Student Society and the university so far have had a very good relationship. You can see that in many different areas, but I do believe that the Student Society has been taken advantage of by the university in many areas. For example, our Bill SFU project, a lot of the services that we have in conjunction with them, we usually get the short end of the stick. When it comes to deferred maintenance, students have these buildings that are in terrible condition and have been for a long time. I think if elected, my goal will be to strengthen the relationship with the university, but also to have a stronger relationship with the university where we can advocate for issues, and it's not just be, oh, hey, how are you? It's more of, hey, you need to do this, this, and this, and let's work together to get things done.
Thank you. And audience questions?
Think of something that's a get up here. As university relations, one of your main portfolios is the Build SFU department. Could you please share your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so in September, students at an AGM voted in favor of allowing the board of directors to bring out a debenture, which would allow them to start their Build SFU project. However, this board has not had much to report on, but in the future there will be more things to report on, especially once construction begins, and my goal would be to update students on the progress of the project and to also make sure that all students know that this project is happening, it will be continuing, and to make sure that just students are aware and make sure that the project does come in under budget and make sure that all students are aware. So pretty much that.
Thank you. And other audience questions?
So as the current VP University Relations, I'm curious to know how you're going to continue with the existing projects which I have continued from my previous term as arts rep as well as my term as VP University Relations. More specifically, what are you going to do to continue with the, well, if you choose to, continue with the open textbook program. How are you going to either rebrand the Textbook Broke BC campaign or engage with the university in ways which have not already been done so? And equally importantly, I would say with the Fraser Library campaign, how do you plan on moving that campaign forward once the current board turns over?
Thank you for the question, Brady. I appreciate it. So this entire year, I've spent a lot of time working on advocacy initiatives. I sit on the Open Textbook Committee as well as the Advocacy Committee, and I've been working alongside with Brady Anno. So I think moving forward for Open Textbook, I think it's not so much about getting students to be aware of the project, but to get the faculty to actually adopt the project. So I would probably want us to use my position of university relations to have conversations with the Faculty Association as well as the Dean of Libraries to advance the program, and hopefully there will be the adoption of the program. In regards to the library in Surrey, the Fraser Library, I would advocate for an actual commitment from the university, such as a pilot project. The university got a letter from the board of directors that was done by Brady Anno. They did receive it well, but there wasn't much of anything coming back from it. And I would continue where he left off and really push for that, especially the commitment. I really do believe that although there's budgeting cycles that always go in different ways, I do think that a pilot project is something that is possible.
Thank you. Okay, and other audience questions? Sure.
What are the duties and responsibilities of VP University Relations?
So currently our bylaws are going to be changed hopefully in the next year or so, but currently it does have a lot to speak to just being a liaison between the student society and the university, working on university committees and working groups, as well as updating students on the Build SFU project. However, this definition does not include any sort of academic advocacy. We often leave that to Student Senate, which is a rubber stamping body, and if elected, I will bring academic advocacy through different initiatives, such as getting more space for students to actually study, open textbook, and also just to focus on student well-being. And I really do believe that that is something that is lacking with the Student Society, so that is something that I'll be working towards.
Thank you. And any other audience questions? Okay, and you can move on to a 30-second closing statement whenever you're ready.
Thank you. So since I am running uncontested, I would like to take this opportunity to talk a little bit more about the referendum campaigns. This past year, I got the opportunity to work with Vice President Student Services Darwin Banesh on the UPass project, and I do believe it is a service that is the most important for students. We did a consultation back in December, and we did find that many students do use this service, about 90%, so I would encourage everyone to vote yes to keep their UPass, as well as to tell all their friends to vote, because we do have a minimum threshold that we do need to get to, which is 5% of the student body, as well as vote yes to revoking the Schools Building Schools Levy. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. Okay, and we'll move on to the candidates for president. You want to go here?
Yes, please.
Yeah. And I just want to make sure, again, everybody has grabbed a release form, because we are going to need those handed in by the end of the debate. Thank you.
Oh, sir, nice to finally meet you.
And you can begin with your 30-second opening statement whenever you're ready. Darian?
Oh, sorry. So, I'm Darian Lechner. I'm a fourth-year chemistry student, and I'm the other choice for president. I kind of expected there would be a lot more people up here, and there aren't. So, that's interesting. I want to take a minute to congratulate those of you who are running, and especially those running as independents and not part of a slate, because it's a really, I don't know, it's really nerve-wracking and intimidating, so I understand. From this debate, I just want to start the conversation, get to know each other's platforms, and really get to know you.
Sorry, that was 30 seconds. And Deepak, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Deepak Sharma and I'm looking to serve as your next SFSS president. With my vast range of experience from diverse backgrounds, I believe I'm the most suitable candidate for this role. I've led large events, participated in various advocacy initiatives, and also whenever I get a chance to, I always try to ensure that all the projects and initiatives that this society organizes are done throughout all 3 campuses. We're not there yet, but I will make sure we get there. And I also want to that's so fast. My overall, as a board member for the previous 2 years, I want to make sure that I increase communication and revise the reimbursement process.
And you can present your question whenever you're ready.
Okay, I guess my question will be, Deepak, can you continue? Talk about your... Yeah, okay. So, why, from your experiences on the board, why do you think that you're ready to become the president of the SFSS?
Definitely. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to let me finish my intro, but I will respond directly to your question. Generally speaking, one of the very important reasons why I am running for president is because I think my role has been more than just throwing events as VP Student Life. The job of a board member and for the previous 2 years has been to enhance the student experience, and I think I've done that in a wide range of areas as well, and will be continue doing that as president. For example, increasing communication to ensure that there is internally and externally to ensure that there is membership engagement beyond just the consistent active members that always seem to be a small pool of members in the student society. Like I said, everyone's already mentioned there's over 24,000 people at this campus, so those should all be increased. The second piece is connecting our campuses. I do have a diverse background from these external campuses beyond SFU, and I want to get away from us being known as a commuter campus with satellite campuses. We should eventually be known as a tri-campus university who gives equal funding and resources to all 3 campuses. Thank you.
Thank you. And a 1-minute rebuttal if you choose.
When you talk about uniting the 3 satellite campuses and being known as like a trimester or a tri-university, can you explain or give examples of the biggest challenges you see in making that a reality?
There's actually only one question per candidate. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, okay, then that's it.
Okay, and you can pose a question.
Oh, okay. Darren, my question is very simple as well. Why do you believe you're the best fit candidate for president this upcoming term, and why did you choose to run for the role of president in the first place?
So, when it comes to being the best, I think it's a real simplification. I think we're both equally qualified because we're both ambitious. We both want to make changes in the society, and we both want to represent the membership. I think I'll leave it up to the voters to decide who's the best. With the second part of the question, why I got involved, I started to really pay attention to the SFSS and its roles within student life during the Build SFU campaign and the subsequent SGM and AGM. And what really caught my attention was the considerable lack for the concerns of satellite campus students. It felt to me that they were effectively being ignored to push a project onto the membership. There were 600 students that signed a petition to move this to an online referendum, and it was never realized.
And Deepak, a 1-minute rebuttal if you choose.
Darren, thanks for your definitely vast range of responses. I just want to speak to the last thing that you did speak to regarding the Build SFU project and the how satellite campuses were not being involved. I believe one thing that should be noticed is that as also being part of the member of the board for these past 2 years, when these AGMs and SGMs were being taking place, and definitely an advocate for, and I'm only one advocate, I guess, amongst all the students who are at Surrey campus, being an advocate and being in support of the Build SFU project. I think one thing that's been overlooked and why communication should be definitely increased by the Student Society is although there's not going to be a 5-story, $65 million, 100,000 square building coming up at Build Us in Surrey, there is being efforts made to increase study space at the Surrey campus. There is being efforts made for also this year's lots of praise goes to VP University Relations and Vancouver Liaison currently for doing that same effort at Vancouver campuses. We are limited spaces there, but all efforts are being made to ensure that those campuses are not neglected, and as for elected president, I will make sure I don't neglect them either.
Thank you. Okay, and audience questions? Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Afternoon. So my question is with regard to the current board policies and what has been a failure of both boards for the past 2 years. So in our current policies, it does state that board meetings should happen at all 3 of the campuses at least once per semester, so meaning there should be at least 3 meetings at Vancouver and Surrey at least within 1 year of being on term, and that's been a failure of both boards for the past 2 years. My question is with regard to how important do you think that policy actually is, and how important, therefore, I would say is, do you think broadcasting the minutes, etc., of those meetings to our membership would actually be? So a twofold question for both of you.
And Darian, you can begin.
Oh, it's extremely important to have these meetings available to everyone and at every single campus. I remember thinking that it was very interesting that the AGMs seem to be exclusively held here on Burnaby, and as president, I would really try to make the board consider holding these events on all 3 campuses so they all feel equally represented, and we would have more than just one meeting on each campus location. Thank you.
Thank you. And Deepak, whenever you're ready.
Definitely, thank you for the question. I do believe that, yes, it's very important to have at least board meetings taking place at our other campuses as well, but we need to go beyond that. We shouldn't be just having a meeting taking place in a room that no one knows about, as displayed at that one meeting that did take place at Surrey campus. If you look at my platform, which is now posted on my Facebook event page, Deepak Sharma for President, essentially one thing that I do want to work on with staff and with the support of other board members is a strategic outreach plan. It started this year, and the board should be praised to, but continue that work to ensure that it's not just a meeting held in a room, because who knows, I could hold that in Surrey, or it could be on the 6th floor in the library. No one's really going to know. It needs to be more than, meetings are important as well. It should be beyond that. We should be doing outreach there as well and spending our time at all 3 campuses, because we want to get away from bringing a Burnaby-centric campus with satellite campuses, but a tri-campus university. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and you had a question back there? Sure. Okay.
Hi, Darian.
Hi.
This is the first time that I'm hearing you speak and hearing your ideas, and I'm getting kind of the sense that you're feeling really passionate about one particular issue, which is connecting the campuses and making sure that the Surrey students and Vancouver students are heard. However, I want to vote for a president that's more than just a one-issue president. What other issues do you care about?
Okay. Thank you for the question. So, I care about a few other issues. For one, I am extremely interested in the bylaws of the society and how questions can go to referenda. And it came to my attention that the Society Act, which currently governs what a society is in the province of British Columbia, is being updated to the Societies Act and will take effect in November this year. So one of the current big challenges this upcoming board is going to face is going over all of our bylaws and policies and making sure they're all up to the new legislation. And so that is another aspect of my presidency that I would be really focused on, making sure that the board is working together, that they have clear goals about what we're trying to achieve, and making sure that they agree with the writing of the legislation. Another issue I have is, in general, I find a few issues with how the SFSS collects the activity fee from students problematic. And
that's 1 minute, sorry. Okay, and other questions? Sure. It was just between.
Thank you. Hi to both of you. So it's a bit of a general question, but it's to understand better what your goals are. So if you were here again after 1 year and you have just completed your term as president, what would be one concrete example of success for you? So what would it be that you would say, okay, this was a successful 1 year term? So thank you.
Me again?
Yep.
Okay. So for me, some concrete things I would like to accomplish. I want to reduce the build SFU that is being placed on primarily satellite campus students by 25%. That is something I want to put into place, and I want to set a precedent on the board of directors that we should be trying to reduce this economic burden on our students who are not primarily going to be at this campus and using this building. The second is that we're losing our bus stops, and I want to make transit a huge priority for the board in this upcoming year. We're already facing an increase in our UPass fees, and while it is marginal, it is still an increase. We cannot let TransLink think that the student society up here is passive to their motives and plans. And thirdly, I would like to see, this is referencing my previous comment on the activity fee, that the part-time membership requirement with the society, currently it's set at 4 or less credits. I'd like to see that increase to 6 or even 9, which would be in line with SFU's current policies about part-time students.
Thank you.
That question got me very excited because I'm thinking about even getting into office, but now assuming what will happen once I get into office and do a whole year. One of the most exciting things for myself would be that increase in communication. We have a brand new staff and resource in that office. We have a lot of boards. We're going to have a board that's going to be focused on outreach specifically and not much operational work. I hope that gets to us a point where there's more internal and external communication, which leads to more member engagement. I know that's a very, very buzzword term, but that is one of the most important things we do need to do. Because if you look today as well, we're at a debate where there's not much participation. When you walk around campuses doing outreach, it's like, hey, what is a board of director? That would be one of the goals. The other one, we have a lot of active members at the same time, and they should be praised for the work they do. One of the ways that we definitely let them down is definitely by having them contribute towards an event or an initiative they're doing, but them waiting weeks or sometimes months for the reimbursement, for the payment that they would make. I would want to make sure we have a very much so more efficient reimbursement process, which will be created, and I'm out of time, but thank you.
Thank you.
This question is for Darian. It addresses some of the answers that you gave the peak in your response. You mentioned earlier that you want to cut fees for Vancouver and Surrey students for Build SFU, specifically you said by 25%. You also said that you wanted to make all pub nights free as far as social events go. And I just want to know if those cuts happen, where do the money that comes from that ends up, where does it come from instead? Because the money that is collected from there does go to valuable things. I'm wondering how you plan on getting that with those cuts.
Okay, thank you for the question. So, to be clear, the Build SFU levy is for the project. It's not being used for social events, and if it is,
separate things, so you want to cut a bunch of things, where is the money coming from on separate things?
but they're not related.
No. I acknowledge that. I just wanted you to talk about.
How are you going to address the numerous budget shortfalls? What would happen if you were successful in enacting all this stuff?
Okay, I see. Thank you. So, in regards to the Build SFU levy, I have yet to even find a proposal of when this project is going to be paid off by the society. I've been talking to members or to project managers within the Build SFU think tank and been trying to get this information for months. Currently, the society does not even have or hasn't proposed a concrete plan to the membership of when the levy is going to be terminated, when the bills are going to be paid off. And part of that may be due to the fact that the stadium hasn't completely, the venture hasn't been finalized. But in regards to that, cutting the levy now by 25% will be taken into account when all of these things are finally finalized and presented to the membership. Now, with the pub nights being free, I think that one way to get people out and to really sort of foster this sense of social community on campus is to subsidize fun. And that will have way more positive consequence or realizations than outreach.
Thank you.
Sorry, subsidize fun or fun?
Fun. Like.
And other questions?
Yes.
So it should come as no surprise to the presidential candidates that we run a number of different services, one of which being the Highland Pub, which annually loses hundreds of thousands of dollars. What are your thoughts on this? How are you going to move forward with addressing this in your term?
So in regards to the pub losing funds, I believe there was a question at a previous AGM regarding the discussion of privatizing it, and the students resoundingly rejected it. And I support that mentality because if we privatize these student-run organizations, we're losing those opportunities to foster community on campus. But at the same time, losing hundreds of thousands of dollars is never really acceptable, especially with a society which is trying to run, not to break even and not to make profits. So as president, I would be looking to work with the VP of Finance and really coming up with a plan to get more traffic to the pub. Maybe having more free pub nights will get more people going and spending money on drinks and getting food, and that's going to turn the revenue up. But I think it's more of a complex issue than I can give in a single statement. But thanks for the question.
Thank you. And Deepak?
Definitely a very relevant question, especially when we're losing close to $500,000 of student dollars towards a service that I think breaks down to about almost $8 to $10 a student, which is quite significant. I think one of the biggest and most important things to do is look forward towards how, as students, all we could do is there's the pub and the FBS service, which once again contributes to the coffee shop, the Lado, and the catering service. All four of them contribute towards this deficit. That should definitely be noted. And although at the SGM that Darian was referring to, students voted in favor in a non-binding way to have it as a service instead of a business, I think we should always be looking towards not making it a business, but at least ensuring as less amount of student money is lost. I think this upcoming board is actually going to have some very serious and big decisions to make regarding what the next steps are going to be for the FBS service once the report the CEO has been, our management has been working on, because this is an operational piece, comes back to us with the various options and what next steps are, and the incoming board should be very prepared to make some tough decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And other questions?
Sorry, that was very close. That was very loud. Good job so far. And guys, I appreciate you sitting up there. To every candidate subjecting themselves to the judgment of 24,000 people. It's difficult, so I appreciate the acknowledgement you gave earlier. I just want to say, throughout your debate, I've become a little concerned because a lot of what's been said is confused or misrepresented, and sometimes misquotations and numbers are wrong. And I'm not trying to say you need to know everything all the time, but it's the theme of the debate. And my honest question for you guys is, when you have really tough decisions in front of you, and you will, you talk about this giant deficit in this pub, and I didn't hear the answer. I didn't hear any answer. I need you guys to, if you can answer this, how can you prove to people that you are suited to be the commander-in-chief of an organization like this, with this kind of money, and these many people working for you that represent so many people? And I know people talk about concerns and problems and all these things, but you're going to have to lead it. You're going to have to inspire 14 other people to vote the way you guys feel the organization needs to go. How can you actually show people and do something that makes them believe you're suited to be the president? Thank you. This is yours, sir.
Whenever you're ready.
It begins now. It begins with right here and now, getting this message out to the membership and getting them to come out and vote for us. And then taking that to the board and saying, this is what the people they want to see, and we are going to do this. And with an attitude like that, you can lead, I will be able to lead this organization to these goals. And one thing to keep in mind is that the SFSS, it's a student organization. While they're all, we like to make everything so grandiose because we're all pretty passionate about our involvement and the issues we take to our heart. This is an opportunity for everyone to get real-world experience, and I think that should also be taken into account. It's not, if there are shortcomings of the board, it's not the end of the world, and it's really important that these people learn now that, and learn from it and go move forward.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
So there's two ways this could be done. One is just being consistently dominant, firm, and aggressive, and having people listen to you for about a month or two, and then just lose everyone's attention. The second one is being an assertive leader that always tries to make consensus-based decisions, but eventually ensures that work is being done and progress in a positive way, in the way that is being done in the right way. One thing also is we're not as president. Yeah, you're the face of the organization, but we don't have various staff. We have one employee, and that's the chief executive officer. And with my current relations with them and consistently working on it, when the next upcoming year, if I am elected as president, we'll make sure that the student representatives, the student body is represented well. The students who are making decisions and being the leaders of the face of this organization aren't just a rubber stamp body of the decisions that our expert staff make, but we do take the suggestions that professionals are making to us, and we do take them into consideration and make sure that they align with our student needs. But at the end of the day, is to be an assertive leader that is listening to everyone, but at the same time making progress.
Thank you. And any other questions? Oh, sure.
I want to ask a general question of who are you and what qualifies you for this position?
Who am I? I consider myself to be someone who's fairly passionate and interested in many different things and many different facets of life. When it comes to this question of qualification, I'm not going to try to pretend that I'm the most experienced candidate here or that anyone is the most experienced candidate, because I don't believe that is the sole qualifier of if you are ready to go to the board and to represent the students and to try to make positive changes on the campus that are going to better student life. It's a fair thing to take into consideration, but I don't think it should be the only thing that people weigh when they're looking up here at the two of us. I think the message is more important, and if the message resonates with the students, then that's clearly what the students want. I mean, like, the previous boards have failed to engage people. There's no one here, and there's half the people compared to last year running, and there's an unclaimed spot. There's no nominee.
1 minute. Thank you.
So it's a great question. I'll answer them in the two folds that you presented them. Who am I? I'm a 21-year-old, just some inner city student kid from Surrey, who eventually wanted to make sure that he was involved in the community at a commuter campus that no one has any community based off of. Why I'm consistently passionate and spirited about running and assuming that I want to be president is simply due to the reason of I want to show that our membership here that there is value in being a student at SFU, whether it be Vancouver, Burnaby, or Surrey. That is who I am and why I'm passionately running for this position. Why am I qualified? I don't think so, but am I experienced enough to ensure that I don't think anyone is qualified. It's a very unique opportunity for university students to even be board of directors and representatives of a multi-million-dollar organization, but it depends on your experience and also how you are going to be approaching the situation you're in. And in that case, I do believe I am able to I am very much so capable of making the decisions faced as president, in addition to progressing this organization in a positive way where membership engagement is increased.
Thank you.
Hi there. This is a question for all of you guys. As a president, if you guys get this position for 1 year, you will be basically the main person that people will see representing all of us students. For 1 year, you have a huge responsibility of helping steer the direction of the SFSS in representing us to the university, and also helping advocate for our needs and what we want. That's a lot of students that you guys will be working with. Obviously, it's impossible to make every single student happy. So one of the things that will be really difficult will be figuring out how to balance all that. So my question is regarding the vulnerable populations in our undergrad community, those people who are with disabilities. What is your plans for accessibility and inclusivity within the organization, as SFSS represents the whole undergrad population, there should be a place for people with disabilities to be able to do things, have roles in the place, and also have fair representation. What is your plans for advocacy and for the integration of people with disabilities? Also, with people who are in need of food, what is your plans for stuff such as the food bank? I know that other people in the board of directors will be dealing with that more so than the president, but as a president, it's also up to you to help delegate and steer and influence those people. So what are your plans? I hope you can answer those questions. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So I'll address the food bank issue first. I am a huge supporter of increasing the fee that's collected to support the food bank, and I also would like to re-explore physical food donations and a way to reintroduce that into the food bank program. Now, regarding accessibility, I can't say right now that I have any concrete plans. I don't. But I do know that we have an accessibility fund that, the last time I checked, has quite an amount of substantial funds, and I would really like to go and to meet these minority groups and try to really get a better understanding of their issues, and then looking at this fund and trying to see how we can take that and help get them represented more in the society.
Thank you. And Deepak, whenever you're ready.
Yep, thank you very much for that question, Tony. One of the most important things is continuously working alongside with external groups that we have made relationship with already, whether that be High Five, whether that be SUDS, whether that be any other organization that does already work with these things. It's not just up to the president, it is also up to the entire board and us to work together with the entire community stakeholders that are already involved in these sort of issues. So that way it's not just a one-man job, it's an entire societal and community issue that we all should be addressing together. And I will be trying to make that connection. For food bank, I am proudly able to say I was a part of the emergency food voucher program for quite some time. It's a food voucher, not a food bank. One of the main things that I will be working towards is student feedback, and that we're getting is that not everyone's getting the bang for their buck for those food vouchers that they're using. One of the things that I want to work towards is having a universal food voucher program for all 3 campuses, so it is a lot more accessible, and students are getting more bang for their buck for that $25 food voucher. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and other questions? Enoch?
Is it one per person?
No, not necessarily. It's just like on a first come, first serve. Yeah, it's why people line up, but if you guys are fine, we'll just...
Hello, you two. So my name is Enoch. I'm the current SFSS president. I want to congratulate both of you for running. It's not an easy task running for president. It means a lot. And I kind of just want to clarify a little bit about what that means to be a president to the two of you, because I know like both of you speak about it. But in reality, a lot of the responsibilities and roles of the president is far-reaching. You'll be spending upwards of 50 hours a week dealing with everything from human resource work to fulfilling legal contracts. You'll be dealing with everything from conflict resolution to making decisions that will direct the organization, and these can have huge implications. So my question to you is really, how will you ensure that you can prioritize these or help the board prioritize what students can need? Because as the president, you help prioritize these things, and so prioritization is key. So what will you do to ensure that the student needs are actually heard and will be reflected by the organization?
To make sure that we are meeting students' needs, we need to have a very clear idea of what they are. They need to be telling us. And once I'm told that, my job will be to really work hard to know every single person involved with the society and to get to know them on more than just a professional level, but a personal level, and try to make connections that will further these ideas and to make students' lives better. Because when we have the whole society functioning as an organism, we will be able to accomplish so many things. And it is, at the end of the day, a community that needs to function together, and we cannot have a divisive board. And the president's job will be, as you've probably firstly experienced, to make sure that you're pretty much glue.
And that's 1 minute. Thank you.
After the response, what was the question again? Could you?
The question is that as president, you have a long range of roles and a lot of obligations. While you're doing that, you also have to lead a team of 16. And prioritization is key to your role. How will you prioritize the actual needs of students, and how will you help determine these priorities are met by the organization?
Okay, thank you. One of the things I did want to address, although I am currently an executive on the Student Society this year, one thing is, although my job description this year was nowhere close to a president where they're meeting to meeting and all over the place in that sense, as VP Student Life, there's a lot of responsibilities that have prepared me to step into and transition into the role of president. I'm involved with almost every single committee that does meet and is active on this organization, and I am taking part in most of the high decision-making efforts that are taking place. So I am ready to step in and transition into that. Now, the second part of the question on how students will be heard, I think. Once again, I did mention it earlier, but I would like to say it again, is it is very important to also take into the consideration the strategic outreach work that is being done on behalf of staff and the board actually doing it. At listening to students, because you're going to get a lot of opinions who want to do various things, but you need to set one direction early in the year and continue following it and be consistent.
Thank you.
This one comes from Twitter, so hooray. What will you do for international students if elected president?
The society needs to, as president and representing the society, we need to take a firm stance against the increases that are being put onto. I know they're not directly under our jurisdiction, but they are our peers, and we need to do whatever we can to represent them fairly. It's the same situation with the TAs. They are our teachers, and we can't, as the society, just let them be mistreated by the university and kind of take a passive approach to it. So as president, I will be very vocal against tuition increases and fee increases on international students, and I will work hard to try to represent everyone who is interacting with the membership. Or not to represent, but to be fair, to try to increase, stumbling over myself. I think a big part of the membership's experience is also interacting with other groups that are not directly covered by the SFSS, and it's important to also advocate for them as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
To start, international students at this campus, they aren't just our peers, they're our equals. They're members of this society, and they're exactly treated consistently in the same way as the rest of us. At the same time, I think international, it's not just about representing international students, but all students in general, through all the social activities we do, in addition to all the health and well-being activities that are taking place. It was a conversation that was actually taking place within governance committee early this year, as well as cultural, part of a sub-belly of the society. It's part of the social well-being that we are already working towards. And in addition to, one thing is that the student society should be praised for, although we don't directly affect tuition raises, especially for international students, is we could make an effort, just like we did last year, in any case, to ensure we vocalize those issues, because although it might be international students whose tuitions are being raised, they are part of our community and they are a membership, so if there ever something comes in that instance again, I am a leader who is able to take a step forward to advocate and vocalize my board towards representing each and every one of them.
Thank you. And other audience questions? Sure.
Hey guys, my name is Mo. First of all, congrats on running for the highest position of the society. It shows the courage and the passion you guys have for the student at SFU. Now, my question is, what if you don't get elected? What will you do in the next year, and how involved will you remain with the society? That's it.
Thank you. So if I am not elected president of the SFSS, I will probably continue this. I will try to be more involved with my chemistry student union, because that's the faculty I'm involved with. But I will also try to attend the town hall meetings and really give feedback as a member, because I don't think that's a common thing that most members do, where they actually attend and are vocal. I think that's really important to move forward with. And at the end of the day, I would also look towards creating referenda questions that I think are about important issues that the membership feel, and bringing those forth at the AGMs to put on the agenda. Thanks.
Thank you.
If allowed elected president, I will be continuing doing the work that I'm currently doing. Before I even got involved as a board of director, before I even signed in and handed in my nomination form 2 years ago, I already was a very involved member of the Student Society through various events and social initiatives. If I were not to be elected, I think I'd be continuing towards them, specifically towards working towards a way where this organization doesn't become a Burnaby-centric, isn't still a Burnaby-centric organization, and is a tri-campus university. Further, working with peers who I have involved in the Student Society, and increasing communication regarding the Student Society and how on the value that this does add into to the everyone's student experience if everyone did make the use of being a member of the Student Society. And overall, I agree with the question Mo that just brought up, is it's always very unfortunate every year a lot of very motivated members run, but then nothing, and it's just unfortunate that they don't win and then none of their ideas get used. But I think win or loss, I think I will be continuing to work and advocate towards the platform points that I have created.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to acknowledge that we are at the 30 minutes, but the IEC is fine with extending another 15 or 20 just to encourage more questions, if everybody's okay with that. Okay, sure. And you guys are okay with that?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Fine. I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah.
Hello again, guys. Throughout this debate, whenever someone has asked you a question, you have both said, I will do, and insert whatever it is. So there's been a dozen questions and a dozen different things you will do in spite of your platforms and what's on them. Part of leading is saying no. Part of prioritizing one or two things is saying no to the others, because you cannot do everything in 1 year, which you will have, and you don't have the funds to make it work. So it's everything from saying no to a new project because you have set priority. It's saying no to students who come ask you to new things because you're working on something else that supports what you believe they've already asked you for. And so my question to you now is, even though you've told people in this audience, as few as we are, you're going to do all of these other things, what will you actually prioritize on getting done in that year? Because I assure you, if you try to do everything, you will get nothing done.
Whenever you're ready.
So number one, and unfortunately it comes from just the circumstance of the board and the legislation, it's the Universities Act and rewriting the bylaws. That needs to be done, right? That is number one, because I don't think we can function as a society if we have bylaws that are contradictory to the legislation. And now talking about saying no to people in the projects, I don't want to say no, I want to say not right now, but I'm going to try to continue to work with you, and we're going to get this done eventually. And if I can't do it, let me show you someone who can help you with this in the meantime. And that will sort of be the mentality I'd have as president. I don't want to have this thing where I'm like, yes and no, I feel like this. I want to consult with the board, and I want the board to come on consensuses where we are saying yes or no to a project as well. But I want to lead them in that direction and make a case.
Thank you.
Okay, one of the biggest support that I had this year regarding learning how to say no was definitely praised through our current president, and ensuring that I always don't bite off more than I could chew. I think I've definitely developed in the right way. Speaking to regarding ensuring that I don't take as much as I can and try and do it all. I've learned to delegate my duties and tasks to members who are willing to support me and work towards the same common goal I am. One thing I do want to respond to is, though, I don't think we've been sitting here at this table and saying, yes, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I do definitely do although my platform was not posted prior to this debate, it was, if you look back to my Facebook page, and it all goes back towards that as well. It goes back towards continuing all the work that's being done, connecting our campuses, and also increasing communications. But once again, to answer the question, what's the prioritization? It's for being consistent right from the first day of you going into office. It's not learning the job for 4 months. It's picking up where I left off, increasing communication, connecting campuses, and a more efficient reimbursement process.
1 minute. Thank you. And other questions?
Hey, gang. As you've noted and noticed, there are a lack of candidates and people attending the debates this year, and there is a large sense of apathy towards the SFSS election right now, which has been touched on, but it seems like there is dissatisfaction with the membership for not being interested, as opposed to recognizing that it's not students' jobs to care, it's students' job to be inspired to care. So can you please give me 3 tangible things that you're going to do to get me as a student to care about this next year?
To clarify, you're asking to care about running for the SFSS?
To care about the entire process. People aren't interested in running, people aren't interested in attending debates, people don't vote. What are you going to do as a president to say, hey, you as a student should care about this?
Well, we take your money. I think that's a big one, is we're collecting funds from the membership and we get to choose how we're distributing them. And that is a huge power on the board when they get to decide, okay, this is what we're going to do. Number 2, it would be...
Wait, can you laugh? Because, like, yeah, you're taking money right now, and you're taking money right now, and no one cares. I want to know how you're going to make it different. The money's already being taken. What are you, as a candidate who wants to be asked to be voted for, going to do to change that?
I think, okay, more addressing that then. I don't think it's that people know that their money's being taken. I think they know it's being taken, they don't know how much, and they don't know where it's going. Because, for example, when there was the Week of Appreciation on Burnaby campus, a lot of the membership I talked to was kind of disappointed their money was being spent on a DJ playing for no one in the middle of the Convocation Mall. And like, that kind of attitude actually got them, when I was talking to them about this election, saying, yeah, can you try to make sure things like that don't happen? So I think part of the question you're asking would be to address and be more open with the membership of how much money we're collecting, where it's going, and you need to care about it in this way. And on top of that, we really need to make it clear to people how big of an opportunity this can be on their resume.
And that's 1 minute. Thank you. And Deepak, whenever you're ready.
Okay, yeah. No, thank you very much for that question. One thing I do want to address, although it's very disappointing that the pool of candidates has dramatically increased, I think it should not go without recognizing the amount of engagement and initiatives that this past year the board has done. For example, first time ever hosting a campus-wide survey where we had over 1,800 students respond. Having a Build SFU project where there was outreach done consistently, and it was the debentures were secured from the membership. Having an advocacy campaign of a zero waste campaign that was done and engaged all 3 campuses. So that was there. It's very, but one thing is engagement should be done through number of candidates running, but we should also wait and to expect to see how the increase of voter turnout will be this year as well. That's the other part of it as well, and I'm very sure that the voter turnout will be dramatically increased as it has been for the past 2 years.
That was not my question.
But what was, I want to speak to, but how this doesn't talk to this previous board's engagement, but what was your question?
I don't care what you guys did as a board. I want to know what you as a president will do to get me as a student to care.
Exactly, and that's the other part to get you.
You can't ask the same question twice and you're at the minute.
It's still the same question.
No, but we had I spoke to it at the beginning. If they ask, you can't ask the same question twice to elicit a different answer. So.
It'd be increasing communication, connecting campuses, and having a more efficient reimbursement process. That's how we'll get students to care, especially increasing communication.
Thank you. And other questions?
Hi there. I'm a student counselor here, and as everyone can see, I'm visually impaired. Often I struggle to do the duties of the student asked me to be a student counselor because many things in the SFSS are not accessible. I often have to remind the SFSS to make my documents that should be provided to me accessible. Because of that, it's even harder to just browse through available public knowledge on the website, such as other committees' meeting minutes, documentation, the reports that are being filed. Those are not accessible. So I understand that, you know, like, accessibility is an ongoing thing. Obviously, we are not very accessible. That means that we're not very inclusive, which means that if someone who has a disability tries to run to be on the board of directors, they may not have that opportunity because it may not be accessible to them. So that doesn't really show that the place is accessible or all-inclusive or representing all of the undergraduates. So my question is, what is your priority? Now, keep in mind, you can also say no, and you can also talk about different things. What is your priority on making that accessible, and what is your time frame to make that happen? Such as, is it in the works that there will be a liaison person to be a worker to make things accessible, a position made? Will that be a big priority during your year as president? When I say accessible worker, I mean a worker dedicated to making the SFSS accessible and all-inclusive. Thank you.
I can't say, given with the amount of social issues and issues with the board that I'm currently trying to address in my campaign, that that is one of my top priorities. But mostly that is because I don't know enough about it. So I would like to, as president, learn more about how, while working with the board, more about these problems that you're addressing, and then from firsthand experience, seeing how I can change it to make the accessibility for you more feasible and more realizable.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
Definitely. I think one of the most important things I would be doing as president is definitely mentioned on my platform as well, is you can't just be, it is a huge societal issue. It is great that in this past year that there was an accessibility audit done and a review of the entire organization over the summer semester. It's great that we finally have an inclusivity checklist and accessibility checklist prior to hosting initiatives and events. That's great. That's great progression made as my time here as a board that the organization has done. But one thing as president that I will be continuing working towards is not just making this an SFSS issue, which is also engaging all the community stakeholders that can also make a positive impact. So we are working together. There's tendency of a lot of overlap taking place between various departments, but we have this huge accessibility fund that our membership pays into. I think we should be utilizing it beyond just workshops and those type, which are very important. Continue having those, but still further carry on and work with community stakeholders in addressing further accessibility issues, which is very much so in my platform, which is engaging community stakeholders.
Thank you. And other questions? Enoch?
So my question, it's a two-part question. It's different for those two. Can I just ask one again?
Oh, you can ask one.
Sounds good. Right, so I have a question each for Darian and Deepak. My first one goes to Darian. So historically, if you look at elections here where slates run, there's been a set precedence where the entire slate gets on, but the president doesn't. If that does happen to you, and if you do get elected, how will you ensure that you can lead a team of 15 other individuals whose views and whose platforms can be radically different than you? And how will you steer the organization into a direction?
Okay. So I believe that I can work with a slate or a mix of slates or a bunch of independent candidates because we're all adults who want to see good things happen, and we can put aside our differences and see the real objective that we want to achieve and work together. I don't think that the slate is just not going to listen to me, or that I'm not going to listen to a slate, because they're people. They're not like an entity. So that's how I would address that question. I think team building exercises will be really important in the first maybe month when we're all, for the new people, learning and like learning from other board members, and that's going to really foster a sense of community and hopefully be a really positive thing with the board and trying to accomplish what we want to set out and do. Yeah.
See, thank you, Darian. So this question is now for Deepak. If you do get elected, and if the majority of your slate gets on, how will you lead that slate? What will be different from this year? And what will you do to ensure that that group also can set the direction for the organization?
Definitely. Thank you for the question, Enoch. I think one of the most important things is even before running, my previous 2 years, I was part of slates where unfortunately the leader definitely did not succeed. And I definitely did have experience where the leader didn't succeed. But once you get into board, I think it's very selfish if you have those separations between, hey, my slate leader didn't get in, now I'm not going to listen to my president. If that was the case, I mean, Enoch, I wouldn't like you, but you're a leader I want to become. Secondly, now addressing your question, I think, like I've mentioned over and over again throughout this debate, is to be consistent right at the beginning. My slate is, fortunately, of 6 current board members who are on the executive team and a very diverse range of background at-large members and faculty representatives. One thing that is very important from our first meeting January onwards is once we get into office, hey, it's not learning the job for 4 months, which we'll be supporting some of the new board members to do so, but it's starting and making that plan right from the beginning onwards and staying consistently on it. We did that this year, but we stopped after Build SFU. I think next year, if I were to be elected in my board, we would have a full-on 12-month plan with support of staff. Thank you.
Thank you. And other questions? Okay, and we can move on to 30-second closing statements whenever you're ready.
So, sorry. That was fun. I hope that I was able to communicate what I will try to represent as president to those of you here and those of you watching and following on Twitter. This is my first ever debate. I know I stumbled. I know it was hard for me, but I really hope that I'm able to communicate to you, the membership, that I'm serious about this. This isn't a joke. I have the passion to want to make the society better for every single one of you. Thanks.
Thank you. And Deepak, whenever you're ready.
So before I going into my conclusion, I do want to say and remind everyone to vote yes for both referendum questions. Definitely the UPass, that's the most important service the society offers. Also, I want to remind everyone to vote connected because I do have a team that's very strong and experienced and ready to connect with campuses. Lastly, why am I running and why am I doing this for the 3rd straight year and not moving on with my life? I want to make sure, although my past 2 previous years have been very positive here, I want to bring in that experience and diverse background and make sure we add value to our entire membership and them being proud to be an SFU student again.
Thank you, Deepak. And thank you everybody for coming today. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure all the candidates did as well. Just a reminder to the candidates, your platforms are due at 11:59 p.m. tonight, and we won't be accepting any late ones. As well, just make sure you've filled out the release form and have it handed back to us before we leave today. But thank you for being respectful, and we have another debate in Surrey on Monday. So thank you all for coming.
Great job, Matt.